You're watching Underdog Gaming, here at the beginner's guide for Kotal Kahn. Overall, Kotal Kahn's playstyle does require a bit more thinking than most characters on the roster. However, if you do learn to play him properly, the game rewards you with both damage and setups. To start things off, let's talk about his best attack strings. Alright, so normally I read out the name of the attack strings, however these names are a bit too tough for me to pronounce, so instead I'm going to call these attacks out by their number notations. So if you're not quite sure what the numbers mean, please check my video description. So first off we have 1, 2, 2. This string knocks the opponent far away, however it is unsafe on block, but the first two hits are safe. So you want to do a hit confirm. Do the first two inputs, see if they hit. If they do, you can finish the string or cancel into a special move to extend the combo. However, if the opponent blocks, you don't want to finish the string because it is unsafe. Just those first two hits are better. And while this string is very fast, the first attack is a high attack, so the opponent could duck under it and uppercut you. So be careful when using it. It's great for punishing unsafe strings, but not the best tool in the neutral. 4-2-2 has fantastic range and ends with an overhead, so it's pretty good for opponents who like to crouch. And this first hit has fantastic range, so it's a great whiff punishing tool. So if the opponent tries to attack you and you're just out of range, forward 1-2-2 is fantastic for starting off combos, especially since that second hit can be special cancelled. However, do be warned, the final hit is unsafe on block, but the first two hits are safe. So just like the first attack string, you want to hit confirm the first two hits and then see if they land before doing the final hit. This attack will also crushing blow on counter hit or as a punish, which is a very damaging way to start off combos. Forward 1-4 also has fantastic range and is in a sneaky low, so it's a decent mix-up. And best of all, this low is also safe on block, so it's a pretty good mix-up with not very much risk. Now you can't start off combos, but it still does knock the opponent down, so it's good for pressure. 2-2-1 also has a sneaky low, and it's great for starting off corner combos. However, outside of that, I don't find it very useful, since the last hit is barely punishable, and in the corner you're going to stay close to the opponent, so you best believe they can punish you for doing it. It's still a decent hit confirm, so wait for those first two attacks to land and then finish it, or cancel into a special move, but outside of that I don't find this string very useful, especially since that first hit is a high attack, so the opponent could duck under it. So while it can be practical for corner combos and certain variations, it's not a very useful attack string in my opinion. 4-2-4-3 has fantastic range on the first hit, so it's really good for whiff punishing when you're further away. Now it's a bit slower on startup, so you don't want to do it when you're closer. That's what forward 1 is for. But if you're a bit further outside that range, this string can be fantastic for starting off combos, and it also does a lot of damage to start off as well. So it's pretty darn useful, and the first two hits are also safe on block, so it makes them a lot more useful. If you do the entire string, you get a little bit of damage and a low mix-up. So that's pretty good if the opponent likes to stand up all the time. That low can be a little bit sneaky, but in my experience, you want to do the first two hits and then special cancel to extend your combo. Back 2-2-3 also has fantastic range and ends with an overhead, so it's a good mix-up if the opponent likes to block low all the time. And the first two hits are also a meterless way to start off combos, so this string can be fairly useful for whiff punishing. Its range isn't quite as good though, and it's a high attack so the opponent could duck under it, so you want to do this move when the opponent's already pressed a button and you've seen it whiff. You don't just want to throw it out there when they're standing, because they could just duck under it and punish you. But if they press a button and they miss, this can be a fantastic whiff punishing tool, and it starts off combos like mentioned earlier. However, do be warned, the first two hits are unsafe on block. So if the opponent does block these first two strikes, you want to finish the string because the third hit actually is safe on block. 3-4 is somewhat fast, and you can special cancel the second move. However, the first attack is a high attack, and honestly this string just isn't that useful. Although it is fairly safe on block, so it has that going for it, but I just don't find myself using it very often. Forward 3-4 starts off low and has fantastic range, and if you land it, the opponent is knocked very far away. So this can be a good mix-up if you have totems and you want to start stacking them on screen, since it puts pretty good distance between you and the opponent, and this string is safe on block as well. So it's a mix-up with absolutely no risk. So it can be good in certain situations. And that's it for Kotal Kahn's attack strings, and you may have noticed he doesn't have many overheads, so you want to do tons of short hops if you want to main Kotal Kahn. That way the opponent starts getting nervous, they start blocking high, then you start sneaking in those lows to mix them up. Next, let's talk about his special moves, starting with his Just Emperor variation. Kotal Parry is a fast counter move that buffs Kotal Kahn's damage. And since you're not blocking the attack, you actually recover faster than normal, allowing you to punish the opponent in situations where you normally couldn't. And you can also hold this move down as well, which makes the timing a little bit easier, especially on the opponent's wake up. Down back 2 is a fast command grab that increases Kotal Kahn's damage. It also switches sides as well, so it's a good tool if you're in the corner. And this damage buff actually works up to 3 times in a row, so you typically want to use this move to end your combos, that way you get a damage buff afterwards. And if you want to spin the meter, you can amplify this move for a little bit extra damage. Kotal Cut is your go-to combo extender, however it is unsafe on block, so make sure to always hit confirm into it. Yayakami Disc is a decent projectile, it's got decent speed, though it's a bit slow on startup, and it's a high attack, so the opponent can always duck under it. However, if this move lands at max range as a counter hit or a punish, it will crushing blow for massive damage. Zolaquake is unblockable and does decent damage, however it's not full screen. It only hits where that scratch on the ground shows you. Even so, this move can be a bit tricky as an unblockable. It's too slow to actually combo into, but if you land a certain string, you have a lot of hit stun, so the opponent's not going to have much time to react to it, and they basically have to jump to avoid this, which a lot of players won't think of doing in the moment. And then if you enhance this move, you get a sneaky overhead that does even more damage and knocks the opponent down. However, do be warned, this follow-up is very unsafe on block, so you want to make sure the first hit lands before doing it. God Ray creates a sunlight beam that will do damage to the opponent as long as they stand inside of it, and then if Kotal Kahn stands inside of it, he actually gets health back. However, the startup animation is very long for doing this, just look how long it takes me to actually block. So it's very risky to do unless the opponent is very far away, and even then most projectiles can probably punish you on reaction, and then you have teleport characters like Scorpion, so even if you do combo into this move, I feel like the opponent still has time to get up and punish you, so it's honestly quite risky. Even so, there is a far God Ray option. If you hold forward during the animation, it goes a little bit further, though I did misspace it a little bit there, but as you can see, you have a default version at about jumping distance, and then if you hold forward, it goes a little bit further. So even though this move does seem very risky in most situations, I could still see it being useful if the opponent's very low on health. And that's it for Kotal Kahn's first variation. So next let's talk about Honored Osh-Tekk. So first up we have his down forward 2. Once again, I can't quite pronounce the name. This can be a very damaging way to end combos, and if you do catch the opponent as they're attacking you from the air, you'll get a crushing blow if you enhance the move. Now, outside of that situation, I don't recommend spending the bar, since the damage isn't really worth it, although I could see it being something you want to do if you're cornered, and you want to escape the corner and then put the opponent in the corner. I could also see it being good for that situation as well. Tekwani Maul can be a fantastic way to end attack strings. It does really good damage and carries the opponent very far across the screen, so it's great for trying to get the opponent towards the corner where you can start your meterless combos. However, do be careful as this move is very unsafe on block, so once again I only recommend doing it to end combos. It's certainly not something you want to just do in the neutral, even as a whiff punish. And this attack can also be done from the air as well, however it is a mid attack and not an overhead, so it's not very much of a mix up. However, if the opponent's trying to keep you out with zoning, you can jump over it and then punish them, or even better, you can jump away to fake a retreat, and if they try to pursue you, catch them with this. While the air version might not do as much damage, it certainly does have its uses. Kotal Kahn's Sunbeam is also different in this variation. Instead of following the opponent, it summons directly above you and will give you health back. Now if the opponent does land inside of it, they will lose health like normal. The only real difference is it won't track the opponent, instead it summons directly onto you. However, if you do want to spin the bar, you can have it chase the opponent, and now it'll follow them and do damage to them consistently, which might seem very useful at the start, but look how long it takes me to block after doing this thing. As you can see, the animation there is absolutely ridiculous. Even if the opponent's really far away, they have time to dash in and get a jumping attack on you. That's how long the startup actually is. So against a good opponent, I don't see you ever landing the amplified version, but if you do want to try it against a friend as a joke in a casual match, I say go for it, but for a competitive setting, I don't recommend ever enhancing this move. And next up we have the first of our totems. Now these totems all have different names, but I'm gonna go ahead and refer to them by their colors. So the red totem is very interesting. So if I do damage to the opponent, the totem actually keeps track of that. And once it goes away, it'll cash out all that damage to give me health back. So the more damage I do, the more health I get back. though do be warned, you don't actively get the health as you damage the opponent. Once again, the totem actually has to go away before you get health back, so I don't recommend getting too crazy if you're already low on health, as the opponent could just kill you before the health actually comes back. And that's it for Kotal Kahn's second variation. So next up, let's talk about all the different special moves that you can equip. So first up, I wanted to get all the remaining totems out of the way. So next up we have the blue totem. This totem actually buffs your damage, and the more totems you have out, the more damage you actually get. And you can have up to 3 totems out at one given time. Now as you can see, the animation for summoning them is a bit long, though not as long as his sunbeam to be sure. However, even so, you always want to combo into the totem summon, instead of doing it raw because that's far too risky. The gray totem will buff Kotal Kahn's defense, so if the opponent hits you, you take less damage, and you also take less chip damage while blocking, so it's great if the opponent's being very aggressive, or if you want to do a more patient zoning playstyle. And just like before, you can have up to 3 totems out at one time. And last but not least, we have the yellow totem. So this will actually increase how quickly your character builds meter. So if I spin the bar on this move real quick, you'll notice I gain meter a bit faster than usual. And the more totems I have, the quicker I rebuild meter. And that's just nuts. Look how fast my meter's coming back right now. That is just crazy talk, right? And keep in mind, even though you can only have 2 totems equipped at once, you can actually stack them in whatever order you want. So for example, I could have 1 gray totem, 1 yellow totem, and then 1 more gray totem. And that's completely okay. You can mix and match them however you want to. The only rule is that you can only have a maximum of 3. Tonatui Burst is a very interesting special move. It only hits if you're right in front of the opponent, though it could catch them trying to cross you up. And in the corner, it can sometimes end combos, but honestly the hitbox is just very weird on it. However, it does do decent damage, so I guess there's that. And then if you want to spin the bar, you get a little bit more damage and you knock the opponent very, very far away. So if you want to summon a totem or something like that, maybe play a bit more zoning, it could be good for getting some distance, but for the most part, I don't find this move very useful. The hitbox is just not very reliable, and there are more damaging ways to end your combos, especially in the corner. And you also have the option to enhance Kotal Kahn's disc as well, though I'm not quite sure why you would want to, because the damage is the exact same and it's still a high attack. The only real difference is the startup is a bit longer, so you could trick the opponent. They want to jump over the regular version, then you enhance it to make it a bit slower and they fall on it. I could see it being good for that, but I honestly don't see why you'd want to spend a slot on this move either. It just doesn't seem very useful to enhance Kotal Kahn's disc. However, there is one more way to enhance Kotal Kahn's disc with a different variation ability. This will actually create a sunbeam which hits mid and it covers the entire screen. So this version actually does seem fairly useful, unlike the enhanced disc toss. This covers a lot more of the screen and it's a mid attack, so the opponent can't even duck under it either. And to make this move even better, it will actually crushing blow if you have 3 totems stacked at once. And not only will it do more damage, but it actually holds the opponent in place for a very long amount of time if it hits, giving you more than enough time to run in and start your combo. That's about it for the beginner's guide, everyone. Please enjoy the combo guide and leave a like down below if you enjoyed. And while you're down there, why not subscribe to keep that combo going? That way you never miss a future video. Make sure to come back next time, and as always, stay underdogs.